Hello everyone, Spectre here, back in with another Marvel Content Champions video. This time, doing a little doing a little something different. If you're familiar with my top 10 champions I want in Marvel Content Champions, you know that I pretty much literally designed and fully made, like actual Marvel Contest of Champions, champions. I gave them abilities and came up with synergies and weak abilities and all that stuff. So I decided to do the same thing with What If the Justice League. We're in MCoC, design, as you can see, there's we're gonna have 5 champions here because when you go into the quest, you can bring in up to 5 champions. So I just was thinking, okay, let me just choose 5 champions, 5 Justice Leaguers, and we're going with your main 5, your 5 core Justice Leaguers. You can't really have the Justice League without these 5. So we have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Green Lantern. And yeah, once again, made their entire kit and everything like that. The only thing I didn't do is the what's it called? I make their synergies. Same thing like the last slide. These are purely fan-made and are not official, leaked, real, etc. Ideas that I learned of from time travel from the future and I come back to the past. None of that, just for fun. So let's get on with the first champion we're designing, and that champion is Superman. So obviously he is a cosmic champion because alien from Krypton just makes sense, and he has the hero tag, the Justice League tag. So he's going to be a size L. He's a Kryptonian, has psychic shielding, and hashtag flying. So yeah, all those make sense, and ideally if more DC champions were ever added, they'd all, like General Zod and all of them, they'd have the Kryptonian tag. And for immunities, he's immune to Cold Snap, Frostbite, Incinerate, and Poison, unless the opponent is Mystic. Because, he's able to fly out in, like, space and all that kind of stuff, so it just makes sense to give him the cold and heat immunities. Plus, he can literally tank the sun. Like, yeah, he's immune to Incinerate. And always active. Superman's bulletproof skin grants him immunity to bleed effects. This immunity goes away if Superman is suffering from an armor break, shatter, or kryptonite effect. We'll get into kryptonite effects when we get into Batman, by the way. Also, gain a cruelty passive each time Superman breaks his opponent's armor. So that just means when he places an armor break and it consumes the armor. It doesn't just mean when you place an armor break on there, and it has to break the armor as well. Each time an armor fails to trigger, gain a passive precision. So he can apply a armor shatter, and basically, once they have armor shatter, they cannot gain armor effects. So if that would happen, then he gains a precision. Also, Superman suffers minus 100% ability accuracy while suffering from a kryptonite effect. And once again, that'll come into play once we get to Batman. Superman buffs and passives suffer minus 25% potency against Mystic champions. So you don't really want to use him, or you don't really want to use him against Mystic champions. You'll be suffering from a bit, but Superman's damage ramps up quite a bit. So 25% might seem like a lot, but I think depending on what the numbers are, could definitely not be huge. Like he'll still probably be doing damage. Just it will definitely feel a lot more gimped. But anyway, so the heavy attack. So place an Intimidate on the opponent for X seconds. Once again, the X there just represents a set value or number that I don't know the exact numbers of yet. But yeah, so once you use a heavy attack, you intimidate them for X seconds. Also, you armor break the opponent for X seconds. Pause armor breaks for X seconds. Also, when inflicting 5 armor breaks, they are consumed and the opponent is instead inflicted with an armor shatter debuff for 20 seconds. So Superman's heavy attack is really important for his rotation. And we'll get on to that with the next slide. So, while away from the opponent, while out of combat, Superman absorbs the sun's yellow rays. Gain 1 Fury buff every 0.5 seconds for X seconds. Max stack 25. Also passively gain 5% of a bar of power every second. So that is why I say the heavy attack is really good for his rotation, because you heavy attack, you could go for like a really heavy attack spam rotation where you're inflicting all those armor breaks. Or his main rotation is heavy attack, intimidate the opponent, so you can back away for a couple seconds, gain some fury buffs, and gain a bit of power. Also with basic attacks, consume 1 fury buff each time Superman makes contact with the opponent, and gain aptitude buff for X seconds, max stack 10. So these fury buffs they're kind of like a currency where you can gain these aptitude buffs that then make your future fury buffs even more potent. So it's kind of like the exchange, but in the end game, like when you're stacking up massive amounts of fury buffs while you have like the max stack of aptitudes, those fury buffs are going to be insane. Also, all special attacks. If away from the opponent, gain unstoppable and unblockable passive for 2 seconds upon activation. These are paused for the duration of the special attack. So you're really encouraged to, like, Superman's playstyle really is dependent on, you know, knowing when to go in and also having the time to, you know, step back and, you know, gain your fury buffs and ramp up a bit. And also, you know, if you're full screen from the opponent, you gain that unblockable and unstoppable, which is nice. And it just is a guaranteed opening as long as you play correctly. Also on defense, Superman has a 100% chance to gain the passive, unstoppable, and unblockable regardless of distance from the attacker. So, nice little thing on defense that can make him kind of annoying, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, it is only for 2 seconds at the end of the day. So anyway, special 1. Place incinerate debuffs with laser hits dealing X damage over X seconds, and cold snap debuffs with cold breath attacks dealing X damage over X seconds. The potency of these debuffs increase depending on the opponent's armor reduction. So again, if you're going with like a heavy spam route, you'll probably be wanting to go with the special 1. Like if you really need that the damage over time effects, definitely you have that heavy attack special 1 rotation. However, if you want the damage, definitely suggest the special 2 rotation, which involves, you know, ramping up your furies and your aptitudes to go for this special 2. Because Superman charges at the opponent with a high speed and force with a single hit shoulder bash. And with that, he inflicts a paralyze on the opponent for X seconds and place a physical vulnerability debuff for each buff on Superman that lasts as long as the paralyze, each reducing physical resistance by X. Also, the paralyzed duration increases with the amount of distance between Superman and his opponent upon activation. So you could stack up like 40 of these, and your basic hits will hit really hard because encompassing also with the buffs, it's just like a double negative. And then for the special 3, so Superman flies his opponent through the sun, leaving Superman vastly stronger. Gain a permanent 10 fury passes, increasing attack rating by X, max attack 10. So you can really like only use the special 3. I recommend only using the special 3 once just to gain that like passive like increase in attack, and then you can go for your special 1s or your special 2s or whatever. But yeah, so Superman, I think he'd be a pretty good champion. Definitely like a more raw damage kind of champion. He's pretty easy. Like he definitely feels like very beginner friendly. You know, as long as you're using special attacks from across the screen, you'll be doing good, Superman. As long as you know how to work with that. You know, just intimidate them, getting your furies. Like you'll be doing good, Superman. You'll be cooking. There's a lot he can do. Okay, the awakened ability. Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Superman gains a True Strike passive for X to X seconds, depending on SIG, when performing an intercept. Interrupting the opponent's heavy with your heavy, pauses his True Strike for X seconds. So, this just, you know, having him awaken just gives him this extra bit of utility with True Strike, which is pretty good. That means, you know, he will be able to counter evade, auto block, and miss pretty reliably. And, yeah, even if you have him low SIG, you know, the second bit with the interrupting the heavy attack to, you know, pause it for X seconds is fairly nice to have. So he can be a SIG 1 and done kind of champion for that like really nice utility. And yeah, just all around, I think Superman has just the right bit of utility, just the right bit of damage to not be super broken depending on the numbers. Because, you know, if you have that ramp up, that special 2 and all your buffs, like you will be hitting like a truck. So yeah, I think Superman would be a fine addition to the game. Alright, so next up we have Wonder Woman. And so, as you can see, I classified her as a skill champion, which she could have easily been a mystic champion, though I decided on skill because, you know, I could have leaned more towards the fact that she's like, you know, her ties to the Greek gods, but, you know, I feel like more of Wonder Woman's identity is the fact that she is a warrior, just like all of the Amazonians, so that's why I went with skill. And also, you know, if Atuma, what's his name, Moon Knight, and Angel of Venom, if they could all be classified as skill champions, then so can Wonder Woman. And her tags are Hero, Justice League, Size M, God, and Metal. So she would have been really good for the Nebula that came out, because one of the missions or whatever, one of the what's it called? objectives were God and Metal, so she probably would have been good for the Nebula. Always active. Wonder Woman's Themyscirian physiology grants her protection against all bleed and poison effects, reducing damage by 30%. So it's not a lot, it's not super broken, but it's enough to get a nice bit of willpower healing. Also, Wonder Woman's auto block guarantees a perfect block. So yeah, she has auto blocks with her like little, I don't know what they're called, her little like wrist protection, her wrist armor. Yeah, she has that guarantees perfect block. And speaking of the auto blocks, Wonder Woman has a 50% chance to auto block projectile attacks. This can trigger the parry mastery and can block unblockable attacks. This gains plus 50% chance to trigger against special attacks. Characters like Domino, Baron Zemo, like those characters who have like, you know, their medium attacks are like the little gun, like the projectiles. Like she can auto block those, and it could even trigger the parry mastery. And she has a really nice safety net against like projectile special attacks because she then gains 100% chance to auto block those special attacks. So super nice utility. I think it will help you much more on offense as a safety net rather than a annoying defense ability. Because on defense, you just don't bring a character that has projectile attacks. So yeah, I think it's a really nice safety net. As for the heavy attack, Wonder Woman uses her lasso of truth to knock the opponent back further than normal. So kind of like how Kate Bishop has her little thing where if you hold her heavy attack, she knocks you back further. Wonder Woman has the same thing, and the reason you would want to knock the opponent down farther than usual is because when knocking the opponent down against the wall purifies 2 debuffs on Wonder Woman. So you really want to get them in the corner so you can, you know, if it's a really debuff heavy matchup where you're constantly getting like debuff, like she might be really good for Biohazard if you're constantly like against the wall and you're knocking the opponent down. So that heavy attack, being able to get them to the wall as fast as possible, can be super important for some nodes. Basic hits. Wonder Woman has 100% chance to inflict the stun debuff for 0.5 seconds when the opponent triggers an evade or auto block. Cooldown 3 seconds. So she has pretty nice evade or auto block counter, though it's not perfect because obviously there is that 3-second cooldown. But yeah, it's certainly better than not having it at all, and I think it's like a unique way to counter the auto block or evade, just passively stunning them for like, was it 0.5 seconds, and you get that opening. I think it's really, really nice to have. Also, she has a pre-fight ability, so I took a little inspiration from like her character ability in the Injustice game, where she's able to like gain the ability of one of the gods. So Wonder Woman, before entering a fight, can activate a blessing for the next fight. So Strength of Zeus. Wonder Woman passively gains plus X attack rating, and basic attacks have X% chance to inflict the opponents with a shock debuff, dealing X energy damage over X seconds. Pretty self-explanatory, and makes sense, Strength of Zeus. And then Speed of Hermes. The opponent is inflicted with a slow debuff for X seconds when Wonder Woman performs a dash. When dodging back, Diana cannot be struck, so similar to how Quicksilver is and Nightcrawler, all them, Yeah, anyone else have that ability? I don't think so. Also, yeah, she has very easy access to slow, of course, because, Speed of Hermes. Hermes is pretty fast if you don't know. Basic attacks also have X% chance to inflict the opponent with a decelerate debuff at X% potency. So, yeah, with Speed of Hermes, she definitely has a lot of, a lot of utility there baked into it with, being able to counter slow and unstoppable more efficiently if the basic hits, like the stun for 0.5 seconds, isn't particularly your style. It doesn't work for that matchup. You can go Speed of Hermes. Also, with Ares Bloodthirst, attacks that involve weapons, lifesteal, X% of damage dealt. Pretty self-explanatory. You get a little bit of lifesteal, nice sustain if you need if you ever get low. Also, basic attacks have X% chance to inflict the opponents with a bleed debuff, dealing X damage over X second. Bleeds can be critical bleeds and skills with crit rating. Yeah, you got the Strength of Zeus and Ares, which are kind of like your damage, and different ways of getting damage. Like you have sustain with Ares, and you have I feel like you'd get more raw damage with Zeus. So it's a nice little pick what you need, for the fight. And then Artemis's Hunt. Wonder Woman gains a permanent True Sense passive. Basic hits have an X% chance to grant her precision buffs and allow her to crit through blocks. So this is nice for, those miss matchups, and with Artemis's Hunt, you can kind of counter evade, all block, and miss all at the same time. Now going on to her special attacks. Wonder Woman clashes her bracelets together, sending her opponent flying back farther than usual. Intercepting the opponent with this attack places a fragility debuff on the opponent. So if you're going with the Artemis's, the Artemis's Hunt, you know, that precision, you're able to crit more, so it's really, really handy for special ones, with that fragility, of course. And special 2, Wonder Woman's Inner Warrior kicks in as she barrages you with an onslaught of attacks. Wonder Woman gains an Adrenaline passive for 1 second and is paused for the duration of the special attack. Adrenaline makes her passively unblockable and immune to damage. So what this does is it allows her to use that special 2 without taking recoil damage, because that 1 second where she's immune to damage makes it so that, you know, she doesn't take that recoil damage, which is really nice, because I envisioned her as a champion who is really, really good with the recoil masteries. And then for the special 3, Wonder Woman gains a passive cruelty, precision, fury, and adrenaline for X seconds. So this is kind of like a special 3, you know, you just use it and boom, you know, you're able to just get that opening because the adrenaline makes you unblockable as well. Plus you have, you know, your cruelty and your precision and your fury. And yeah, it gets. I'm imagining like you get all that for like one combo, because adrenaline is pretty crazy. You don't want to have that for too long, so maybe like you only get these buffs for like 3 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot. But let's say it's down to your special 3, like you have a special 3 and they have a special 3. Well, your adrenaline will be able to save you. So the adrenaline is really nice. It's not super broken. It's mostly a safety net. Like Wonder Woman, she has a lot of safety nets and a lot of utility baked in there. As for the Awakened ability, Warrior Spirit, Wonder Woman gains a resistance passive for 0.5 seconds when making contact against the opponent with basic attacks, reducing all damage by 10% to 90% based on SIG. So this is another safety net ability where, you know, once you hit the opponent, you gain this resistance passive for 0.5 seconds, and it can make you up to 90% resistant to all damage. And that's another kind of like safety net where it's like, okay, you have that 90% resistant to all damage, but you accidentally push them to a special 3. So if they launch that special 3 within that 0.5 seconds, you only take 10% of the damage. So I think it's pretty good. I may have overtuned her a bit, but I got a little carried away. But yeah, let's move on to the next character, which is Batman. Yeah, Batman is a tech character, of course. I was showing my friends this, and it was like, why isn't he a skill champion? I'm just like, because he uses more gadgets. Like, I know he knows every martial art style, but we know Batman more for his gadgets and, you know, his contingency plan, so it just makes sense to make him a tech champion. And of course, he has the hero tag, the Justice League tag, size L. He's a metal. And I thought it'd be cool to give him the Illuminati tag, because I feel like if Batman was ever in the Marvel Universe, he would definitely join the Illuminati. Plus, you know, there's not a lot of good champions with the Illuminati tag. There's like a couple. I know Iron Man just got buffed, so he's like really good in that tag. But like, if there's ever a challenge where you need to use Illuminati champions, hey, it doesn't help to have like one decent, you know, a couple decent characters. And I feel like Batman would be a really good character if he was put in the game as he is right now. But immunities, ability accuracy reduction. You can't change the Batman's on that mindset grind set. Once he puts his mind to something, you can't stop him. Like there's this one magic society that like keeps wiping his mind, but he keeps finding them. Like that tells you all you need to know about why you can't reduce his ability accuracy. But anyway, always active. Batman is the world's greatest detective. Start the fight with a permanent vigilance passive. I mean, it just makes sense, you know. If Bullseye can have a if Bullseye can have the thing where he cannot miss, then I feel like Batman can have a permanent vigilance. You know, he is the world's greatest detective, like I just said. Also, Batman starts a fight with a counterattack passive. If the opponent strikes Batman while he has a counterattack charge, Batman passively evades and hits the opponent, inflicting them with a disorient debuff for X seconds. This can happen even if Batman is stunned. Counterattack goes away if Batman's heavy is interrupted with the opponent's heavy attack. So yeah, unlike Bullseye, there is a way to counter this. Yeah, it's not complete BS. You know, you can play around it with the heavy intercept. Also, Batman can parry non-contact hits. Batman's busted debuff burst damage increases with combo meter. So yeah, he's one of those champions that, you know, benefits, you know, from like longer fights where you can really ramp him up. And yeah, his damage will end up being insane with the busted debuffs. And also if you don't know what busted debuffs are, they're like they're the thing also Bloodstone places on her fourth light attacks. Basic attacks. Batman has a 50% chance to inflict a busted debuff onto the opponent for X seconds. Fourth light attack. Pause all non-stun debuffs for 1.5 seconds. So you definitely want to be using your fourth light attack with Batman, because it's either you don't get that 1.5 seconds pause or you do. And then heavy attack. After finishing his heavy attack, Batman throws a batarang at the opponent. And what I'm thinking is batarangs are attacks that are unblockable and can go full screen. So it's like after his heavy attack, he throws like he has like his heavy attack, and then if there's like nothing that interrupts it, then he just throws the batarang, which I think would be a really unique ability to play around with. It'd almost be like a full screen heavy attack, but it's not like that obviously, because there is a chance for you to punish it. Also, speaking of the batarang, dashing back. If Batman dashes back immediately after stunning the opponent, Batman throws a batarang at the opponent and pauses the stun for 0.35 seconds. Cooldown 8 seconds. So it's not something you can spam over and over and over again, but allows you to get a little bit of extra DPS in if you do this. Intercepts. Back-to-back intercepts grant Batman a detective passive for X seconds, granting Batman plus 15% increased ability accuracy, and so that will end up able to get 65% ability accuracy on placing busted debuffs, which is basically over every other hit you're going to be placing a busted debuff. And again, Batman's main source of damage is these busted debuffs. So, Special 1. Batman beats the opponent relentlessly. So, the famous, the Batman Arkham combo where he just goes like, bah, 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 bah. Obviously here I just put in parentheses 100,000 hits, but it's not actually 100,000, of course. It's probably going to be like 10 hits. It's just like, bah, 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 bah. I feel like that'd be pretty funny to have as a Special 1. Plus, it'd be really funny to, I wanted it to be a Special 1. Because it'd be really funny to just spam like a like you know what I'm saying. Each hit placing a concussion debuff, reducing ability accuracy by 4%. So yeah, it's a low potency concussion debuff, but once again, it's just so he's gonna be placing a ton of concussion debuffs on you. So it's gonna if it's like 10 hits, it's gonna be more accurately. Like altogether, it's going to be reducing ability accuracy by 40%, so pretty good stuff, And then Special 2, Batman tases the opponent before throwing 3 batarangs at the opponent and activating a stealth passive for X seconds. So this is mainly the ability you might want to spend. Like this is your main utility ability. Again, depends on your pre-fights and what your batarangs are able to do. But Special 1 is more for ramping up that your combo, so you can get a lot of that busted debuff damage. But your Special 2 is also good for damage because also while in stealth, opponents' attacks have a 100% chance to miss, and Batman gains plus X crit rating. So you get some nice crits, and also because if you crit, your busted damage will be even higher. Also, inflict the opponent with a non-stacking shock debuff, whose potency increases with your combo meter. So if you need 8 damage over time effect, go for the Special 2. And the Special 3, so this is kind of your balls to the walls, oh shit, I need to use my Special 3 before they use their Special 3. Batman strips all power gain, prowess, and regen effects from the opponent and replaces them with a busted debuff instead with plus 100% duration. So he's really good in those matchups where they have those effects, because then you have like twice as long busted debuff charges. So that's pretty good. Also, just for good measures, Batman's always prepared. Power drain 1 bar of power from the opponent. But anyway, here is where the big stuff comes in. The pre-fight abilities. So, Batman's contingencies. Batman enters the contest with a slew of contingency plans. He starts each quest with 3 precision charges, max stack 3, and gains 3 at the start of a fight, which he can spend on different contingencies. So, the contingencies are battering attacks inflict a heal block passive on the opponent for 12 seconds. Parrying attacks reflect a portion of the damage back onto the opponent, so kind of like Colossus, I like how he does. Heavy attacks inflict the opponent with a crush debuff for X seconds, so heavy attack allows you to get that opening in. Like if you heavy attack, crush debuff, that if you don't know what crush is, it makes it so that the opponent's block has minus 100% ability accuracy, so it's like even if they're blocking, it's like you're unblockable. It's pretty cool. I'd like to see more champions with that ability even more. Or Battering attacks inflict the opponent with a power drain passive, draining X% of a bar of power over X seconds. Batman starts the fight with 2 cleanse passive. That one's a really good one if you run suicides. Batman starts the fight with an indefinite armor up buff, so if he needs to fight a Havoc. Battering attacks inflict the opponent with a cold snap passive for X seconds, so really good for countering evade. Inflicting a stun effect against a stun immune grants Batman an unstoppable passive for 0.5 seconds. So yeah, basically this is a nice safety net where it's like if you're going up against someone who's stun immune, no, you can parry them and get that opening because of the unstoppable. Definitely one you won't be rocking all the time, but if the opponent's stun immune, definitely chuck that one on. Awakened ability on Batman. Come on, I had to for one of these. Okay, so the awakened ability is pretty crazy. Batman's persistent charge cap is increased by 1, and he gains +1 persistent charge when entering a fight. Batman gains a new contingency. Battering attacks inflict the opponent with a kryptonite debuff for X seconds. So yeah, the whole kryptonite effect with Superman comes into Batman's awakened ability, where he gains the Kryptonian contingency plan, which I thought was cool. Also, Batman gains +X to X crit rating, while Batman has a counterattack passive. So essentially, Batman's counterattack does not go away. It's not like on a cooldown where it lasts this long. It's permanently there until he either counterattacks or evades, or you remove it with the heavy attack. So it'd be really so essentially you can have that permanent crit plus crit rating if you have the awakened ability, which is pretty crazy. Being able to crit more is always good, and again, it enhances that busted damage that's already further enhanced by the combo meter. So all around, I think Batman would be a crazy champion. He has a lot of damage and then if you add in the contingency plans, you can have like up to 4 per fight. Like, you can do some crazy things. Batman has a lot of utility, but again, he's not able to access it all at once, which I think is perfect for Batman. Like, he has the plans to do everything, and you go into each fight with what you need. You don't have all this unnecessary stuff. If you need armor up against a Havoc, you put the armor up. Also, you run recoils. You also do the cleanse passive, and whatever other nodes he has. Like, if he can evade, you put the cold snap on there. Like, there's a lot of different stuff Batman can do. And again, I just have so much fun making Batman. Okay, so next up is Green Lantern, and he is a cosmic champion. And his tags are Hero, Justice League, Size M, Lantern Corps, and Flying. So yeah, if there was any more lanterns added, they would get that Lantern Corps tag. And he is immune to cold snap, frostbite, concussion, and disorient. So he flies through the vacuum of space. He should be cold snap and frostbite immune. And same thing, and also with concussion and disorient. Basically, I'd like to think about it, like, you need to concentrate to use the ring. So your concussion and disorient wouldn't work on him because he has that strong mind, strong will. All right, always active. Green Lantern starts the fight with 50 willpower charges. When fighting Mystic Champions, Hal only starts the fight with 25 willpower charges. And so willpower charges is your main thing, your bread and butter. You're always trying to get to the max cap. We'll talk about that right now. So willpower charges, max stack 100. Hal loses 1 charge every 1.5 seconds when he has not made contact with the opponent. So you really want to play aggressive with this guy. You don't want it to ever be the case where you're kind of just sitting there. I mean, obviously, special attacks, you kind of gotta take a second to dodge them, but after that, you gotta go back in. You gotta get this to 100. And this rate is reduced to 1 second against Mystic Champions, so they fall off even like a third faster against Mystic Champions. Oh, you don't really want to use him against Mystic Champions. I feel he'll definitely feel a little bit more miserable and a little more tight, so you don't want to bring him against that. But if you have to, it's not the end-all be-all, in my opinion. Also, Green Lantern gains +X attack and crit damage rating for each willpower charge he has. Hal gains willpower when close to the opponent. So, kind of like Omega Red, you want to stay close to the opponent. And as long as you are close to the opponent, even during special attacks, you don't have to worry about him losing the willpower charges. Also, heavy attack. Charging a heavy attack grants 1 willpower charge every 0.5 seconds. Additionally, the timer to lose willpower is paused. Stun effects timer slows by 25% when Hal is charging a heavy attack. So essentially, if you parry and then hold heavy attack, the stun lasts 25% longer. Use your heavy attack, the timer goes back to its normal rate. Essentially what this means is that, like, you can use your heavy attack to gain more willpower and nothing else. Like it's not like you can increase stun. It's only while charging the heavy attack, and it allows you to get that max stack of willpower even quicker. Also with the fourth light attack, inflict an armor break debuff for X seconds. When getting knocked down, Howl loses 10 charges. This cannot happen again for 6 seconds. So one way to counter him on defense is to knock him down every 6 seconds to really control his willpower. Okay, so here is where the charges come in at. This is what you want to be striving towards. So Howl's second medium. Howl consumes all of his willpower charges to deal a burst of damage based on the charges consumed. If Howl has 100 charges, when striking the opponent, then gain one of his willpower buffs, with each having a max stack of 2. These buffs go in order of Fury, Precision, Power Gain, each lasting X seconds. So, let's say, essentially what that means is that, like, I have 100 charges, I throw my second medium, I gain 1 Fury buffs. The next time I do it, I gain the Precision buff. The next time I do it, I gain the Power Gain. And then the next time I do it, I go back to the Fury, and each of these buffs can only stack up to 2. You do not want to use your second medium while, under 100 charges, because then you pretty much lose all your progress, which, kind of sucks. So you want to be using that fourth light attack to, to avoid that. Also, it's nice because you also get that armor break debuff, so it doesn't feel completely wasted, and that damage compensates. So you only use that second medium when you have 100 charges, so you can get one of these buffs. And I'm going to assume that these buffs are pretty potent, because these are your bread and butter. This is where all your ramp and damage comes from. And that Power Gain will be pretty cool in allowing you to fully, really cycle special attacks, one after another. Really cool when it's going to be really cool when you're fully ramped up. Also, when Howl would gain one of these buffs, all willpower buffs are refreshed. So hopefully these are for long durations so that it doesn't feel super tight, but that's also why you don't really want to bring them against Mystic champions, because then it might feel really tight to refresh these buffs. But luckily, the special one does help with that a bit, which we'll get into in a second. But on defense, Howl is more likely to throw heavy attacks and gains willpower 50% faster when fighting non-Mystic champions. So he might be really annoying on defense if you're not constantly knocking him down to keep control of his willpower. Also, when struck, Howl consumes 40 charges to auto block the incoming hit. This auto block can trigger parry and can block unblockable attacks that aren't heavy attacks. So yeah, you definitely want to watch out for his auto block. Can definitely catch you if he has over 40 charges. But the lucky thing is, if he does catch you, he loses all that ramp. Don't recommend it though, because again, can trigger the parry mastery. So anyway, here's what I was talking about, the special one. Howl beats his opponent with a baseball bat and punching gloves before summoning a lantern that pauses his buffs for X seconds. So most likely before you're fully ramped, you might want to go for special one spam, because it gives you increased longevity of your buffs if you need extra time for your buffs before you can refresh it with gaining the next one. The special 2 though, if you're max ramp, this special 2 will be doing a lot of damage. So Howl spawns in a fighter jet construct that barrages you with missiles before flying straight into you, and deals a burst of energy damage if the opponent is against the wall. Howl gains plus X crit damage rating for each buff on him for the duration of the special attack. So once you're max ramp, I'm pretty sure that special 2 will hit really hard with those nice juicy crits. And then special 3, I'm thinking visually for the animation wise, that would be really cool, and I chose this picture with all the lanterns because I think it would look really cool. But yeah, just to help you visualize what I'm thinking about. But Green Lantern flies you into space where you are met with the leader of all the Lantern Corps. They all fire beams of energy at you as you fall back to Earth. Howl gains one of his willpower buffs and gains 50 willpower charges, which can exceed the cap. So essentially, if you're struggling to get your willpower buffs, you can always just go for a special 3 spam rotation, and that can help you. Probably be more efficient to not use a special 3, but if you're struggling with that willpower and the buffs are falling off, you could always go for the special 3. Because with special 3, there's no additional work of playing with the opponent. You just build up 3 bars of power, boom. Alright, the Awakened ability. No evil shall escape my sight. Before Green Lantern would be knocked out, the opponent is afflicted with X to X direct damage depending on SIG, so it could scale up depending on SIG, per willpower charge, with each charge expiring at a rate of 0.1 second. During this time, Hal is granted a death immune passive until all willpower is spent. While death immune is active, Hal cannot generate willpower. So what this means is, right before death, if he's awakened, he just inflicts the opponent with, all of his willpower charges, dealing direct damage, and as soon as it expires, he dies. So you could definitely, if you're at 100 willpower charges, essentially you can last 10 extra seconds, and if that kills the opponent, nice. I think it's a cool little ability, very niche, but not busted like Hercules' immortality. And next up, we have our last character. I gotta save the best for last. The Flash, my favorite Justice Leaguer. Now, I'm just going to tell you flat out, with the Flash, his class, I am not super 100% sure what class he would be. Like, I chose Mutant, but like the argument is there for Cosmic or Mystic because of the Speed Force. There is also the argument for Science because he gets his power from like the bolt of lightning and all the chemicals. But I was talking to my friend who's a really big Flash nerd, and he suggested that I make him a mutant champion because he's a metahuman. And I was thinking, maybe. I feel like, because I was thinking like that'd be more science champion, but he's like, well, metahumans are pretty much DC's mutants. So I was like, well, I mean, I guess with the logic of like only mutants could be the mutant tag, just makes it so no DC character would be able to be a mutant. So I was thinking, well, yeah, metahuman kind of is a mutant. So I was just like, let's go with mutant. Plus, I didn't want to make another science speedster because I feel like it'd be way too similar to Quicksilver. So I wanted a different way different idea to build them after. So with mutant, it's all about the prowess and stuff like that. So I definitely was leaning more towards mutant, out of the fact that it'd be a more unique build for a champion. But yeah, now that we got that whole class debacle out of the way, his tags: Hero, Justice League, Size Small, Speed Force, and Dimensional Being because of the Speed Force. And so immunities, he'd be immune to slow. Like Flash and slow, usually those two words aren't in the same sentence unless the word is in the middle, always active. So Flash has 100% shock resistance, so he doesn't take any damage from shock. I mean, like, look at the picture I'm using. Like, Bro's got lightning all over his body. He is taking no shock damage. Also, while dashing back, Flash cannot be struck. So he has the same thing that Nightcrawler has and Quicksilver has. Also, Flash has the Dexterity Mastery always active and cannot be affected by ability accuracy. So I thought this was really cool because, one thing I hate when fighting Photon or Domino is sometimes my how Dex failed. Well, Flash can't get Dex failed. Also, he has the Dexterity Mastery built into his kit. So if the Dexterity Mastery is already unlocked, then Flash shrugs off damage over time effect when dexing special attacks. So yeah, pretty crazy. Definitely rewards players who have the Dexterity Mastery, which is pretty much all players. And it allows Flash to have this like little phase mechanic where he phases off the damage over time effects. And it's not super busted, like it's when he dexes any attack, it's only special attacks. So pretty crazy, but not broken crazy, if you know what I mean. Also, dashing generates a dormant prowess passive for 15 seconds. So essentially what you can do with Flash is just swipe back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and gain these prowesses. And they only last for 15 seconds, so it's not broken where they are infinite and you can stack up infinite. No. You basically can generate as many prowesses as you want for these 15 seconds. And again, they're dormant prowesses, so they don't increase your damage yet until you enter the Speed Force, and then they become actual prowesses. But we'll get into the Speed Force in a second, because that is his huge, big money, phase or whatever. Also, stunning the opponent detonates all whiplashes on the opponent for only 70% of the potency. So, you are going to get reduced damage if you decide to parry it. So it rewards for more skillful play. Like, you don't want to be parrying. You want to go for those intercepts. You want to keep aggressive without having to parry. So definitely Flash is more of a skill-based character, I'd say. Also, the opponent starts the fight with a permanent slow passive because, of course. If Flash is suffering from fatigue or exhaustion, Flash cannot inflict a whiplash. Slow goes away until the effects expire and cannot increase the Speed Force meter. We'll get into Speed Force meter when we get there, but you know, fatigue and exhaustion, it does add some kind of counterplay to him if like he's on defense. Basic attacks. Each hit, even whiffs, have a 0% chance to inflict the opponent with whiplash passes for X seconds, max stack 200. I know what you're thinking. What the hell? Why would I even put that down? We'll get into that with the Speed Force mirror. You know, you'll see what I'm cooking here when we get to the Speed Force meter and the Speed Force ability when we get there. Use a heavy attack to refresh all whiplash passes. If Barry counters the opponent's special with his heavy, then each whiplash passive have a 50% chance to duplicate something. So he really rewards spacing because, you know, with his heavy attack, you don't want to stun the opponent when you go in for these heavy attacks because then you lose out on all your whiplashes. No, what you want to do is you want to refresh them, and if you're able to get down that spacing and you know, get the heavy attack off, then you can duplicate the whiplashes at 50% chance. So essentially what that means is, on average, if you have 10 whiplashes, you'll place 15 on there. But here is the Speed Force and all that kind of stuff. So the Speed Force meter. The Speed Force meter is always going down. It starts at 0 and can go up to 100. When it reaches max speed, Barry enters the Speed Force for X seconds. Barry generates speed when dashing and generates more speed based on distance, hitting the opponent, launching special attack, and shrugging off debuffs. He gains double speed when shrugging off a bleed or incinerate. So yeah, basically you just want to stay aggressive and play him like a normal champion, and your speed will just constantly go up. And then once it hits max, you enter the Speed Force. And the Speed Force, again, this is where the craziness happens. So being near the opponent while the Speed Force is active passively inflicts them with a shock debuff dealing X damage over X seconds every 0.5 seconds. If the shock is struck off, then inflict them with a passive stun for 0.75 seconds. So he is going to be really good against those skill champions who shrug, like Kingpin, Agent Venom. I think Cleanse. Any champion with like Cleanse he'll be really good against, especially with the Speed Force. Like he'll be cooking against skilled champions. Also, while in the Speed Force, dormant prowesses become prowess buffs, increasing special attack damage by 10%, and affect whiplash damage as well. So your whiplash damage will also have the damage increased by 10% for each prowess effect on Barry. Also, Barry's combat power rate is reduced by 50%. That sounds like a bad thing, but hear me out. He's going to have some crazy power gain. And then also when the Speed Force ends, all whiplashes expire. So definitely once you're in the Speed Force, you want to cash out on all the whiplashes, even if you have to parry. But there are going to if you go for the special 2, you're going to be doing your damage. And as long as you if you can get to that special 2, you'll be good. Also, you cannot activate the special 3 in the Speed Force. So yeah, but you don't want to anyway. Also becomes immune to reverse controls. Why? Because there's really no reason, but I personally don't like champions that aren't, what am I saying? I love champions who are immune to reverse controls. So I gave Flash immunity to reverse controls because I can. The special 1. Barry charges at you with supersonic punch during 25 speed and pauses all whiplash effects. While in the Speed Force, this special attack is unblockable and Barry gains 125% of a bar of power. So what that means is once you use a special 1, you pretty much just gain 25% of your next bar of power. Like you haven't even used the special 1. So you can just keep spamming the special 1 and you just get that power gain until you get to that special 2 once you're in the Speed Force. Because that's what you want to do is once you're in the Speed Force, spam special 1 until you get a special 2. So special 2. Detonate all whiplashes on the opponent upon activation before Barry throws a tornado at the opponent. If in the Speed Force, whiplashes deal plus 25% extra damage, and the Speed Force is paused for the duration of the special attack. So, yeah, there's a lot of whiplash damage that can be built up. Like, once again, you could stack up to 200 whiplashes. You can deal, like, 25% more damage if you're in the Speed Force. Plus, for all the prowesses you gain, that's another plus 10% for each prowess that you have on the opponent. Plus, you can also factor in nodes. Like if your nodes give you more prowesses, like a monthly event quest can sometimes give you prowesses for the mutant quest. Like Barry could probably hit numbers similar to Quicksilver with his whiplash damage. If the numbers are, at the level where he can hit those numbers, of course. But that's what I'm thinking. Like, I want Flash to be at that level of, Quicksilver with his damage output, though. I think Flash will definitely be a lot more fun. Special 3. Barry grabs his opponent by the ankle before running all throughout time, dragging his opponent along the ground, and then throwing the opponent against the wall when they return to the stage. Barry immediately enters the Speed Force and becomes debuff immune for 10 seconds. So, pretty self-explanatory. If you just want to enter the Speed Force, just use the Special 3. Pretty much same thing with with Green Lantern. If you want to just skip the process, it'll just cost you 3 bars. But you do miss out on all the ramp that goes into that. Like, you're missing out on all that time of getting prowesses and ramping up whiplashes. So, you do cash out early, but you're missing out on stuff. And the Awakened ability, fastest man alive. Barry generates speed through blocked hits. Speed Force meter depletes X to X % slower, which is very nice. On defense, Barry has a 20 to 100% chance based on Sig level to shrug off debuffs when dashing. And obviously, also that applies to the Speed Force meter depletion slower. Based on Sig level, of course. The numbers are, or the the numbers are highlighted in blue to show that. But yeah, that was what I would have the Justice League looking like if they were added to the contest. Not gonna lie, they'd probably be pretty OP, but I mean, they are the Justice League. You literally got Superman, Batman, Flash, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman. Like, yeah, they deserve to be, OP in any game they're in. But yeah, personally, I would not want crossovers in Marvel Contest Champions. I'd like it to stick to just Marvel characters. And so yeah, I would not want, Batman or anyone in MCoC. But like I said, this was just for fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If there's anyone you want to see me make, I am open to the idea, because I think making characters is super fun, and I kind of want to start doing that. Like, maybe rework an old character and then make a new character. I feel like that'd be really cool. But yeah, goodbye.